Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a question about learning path for a DevOps position, and this is from Kunal, and he says, hey, I'm a computer science student. What are the things/books should I learn in order to apply for a DevOps position? What is the learning path for that? Which programming language should I be familiar with? So I'll have to give you a caveat here. I'm not a DevOps person, but I've sort of played one on TV. What I mean by that is, before there was such a thing as DevOps, I was the developer that was setting up continuous integration and doing test-driven development and creating deployment scripts and automation. I was doing sort of the stuff that DevOps people do nowadays before then, so before there was the actual role. So I'm not as familiar with DevOps today because I haven't done DevOps stuff in a while, but I'll give you some ideas because I don't think it's really changed all that much in terms of what you're doing and what you would need to learn. So in order to be DevOps, well, first of all, let's talk just briefly about what DevOps is. DevOps is essentially developer operations, which is this kind of new role that sort of appeared where basically you take the code, you make sure that the code gets built, you take that code that's built, you run tests or whatever needs to be done on the code to package it up, you get it packaged up, you get it deployed on the servers. And you automate that as much as possible and do that whole process, okay? It's pretty interesting. I actually enjoyed doing this. I actually did a video on Jenkins. I did a course on Jenkins, which is a continuous integration server. You can check that out here on Pluralsight if you have a Pluralsight subscription, or you can get one if you want. But anyway, so what I would suggest that you need to know is, first of all, you need to have some kind of scripting language that you're going to use. Now, it depends on what the environment is, right? So I think a lot of DevOps is done in a Linux environment, okay? So in that case, having some Linux skills would be useful, as well as some kind of scripting language, whether you're going to use, write shell scripts or bash scripts or whatever it is to automate, right? Because part of DevOps is a lot of automation, okay? So that's kind of like a very base skill. Now, if you're doing DevOps from like a Microsoft or a Java shop, with Java it's probably going to be Linux. With Microsoft.NET stuff, it might be knowing some C# code. It might be knowing, on the Windows equivalent would be PowerShell. PowerShell is used by a lot of DevOps people to script stuff. Today I was using it when I was doing DevOps related stuff, okay? So that's kind of the base level. Next up, I would say that what you need to know is continuous integration server and how continuous integration works. So, like I said, I pointed you to that course that I did on Jenkins. That's a pretty popular continuous integration server, but you need to understand enough about how that works and how to use that software, how to create builds, and and sort of the psychology behind doing that and doing that the right way. Okay. The next thing I would say is that you need to understand source control. So Git is probably something that you're going to need, because one thing that you're going to do in DevOps is you're going to be checking out the source, and you're going to be checking in your scripts, and you're going to be, automating some of that process. In addition to that, you probably want to have at least one programming language under your belt so that you can write little tools that you might need. Okay, so this could be a scripting language. It could be something like Python. It could be C# or Java or something like that. But having those skills would be useful. It also would be useful if you could read the code and understand the code for the team, whatever software is being built. So having a basic understanding of that language. So you have to have some kind of programming skills. That's what I'm saying here. You don't have to be the best programmer. And then you need to understand deployment, right? So you got to have some kind of ability to configure and manage servers, whether that be VPSs, virtual private servers that are in the cloud, right? So maybe some skills using AWS or DigitalOcean, and administering those servers. So Linux admin, Windows admin, those kind of skills. So think of all the skills that you might need to have as a general kind of IT person, infrastructure person, and the skills that you might need to have as a developer, and it's sort of like the intersection, the combination between those with scripting, tying it all in. So, it's a very difficult role, but it's a very rewarding role. You're going to need to know a lot of different things, but that's. I think it's worth doing if this is something that you want to pursue. I haven't heard that many. Most people fall into DevOps. They don't actually go for DevOps like you're doing. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult. I think a lot of people either started out as software developers and really liked the DevOps, like the infrastructure part of it, and so they sort of developed the administration skills, those other skills, or people came from the IT world and were in the infrastructure and realized that those jobs were going away, and they started learning enough about programming and working with developers enough to be able to get that side of the skill set. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for you, but you can definitely do it. I would also recommend that you talk to people who are working in DevOps. I'm sure you can find people. If you leave a comment below, any of you that are in DevOps currently, that maybe you can get together, or someone who's curious could reach out to you. I'd appreciate that. But ask them what they do. Ask them what they need to know. One of the best ways to learn how to do something is to ask the person who's doing it what you need to know in order to be able to do that job. All right, I hope that helps you. And if you have a question for me, you can always email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com. And don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Talk to you next time. Take care.